My name is Kwabena Chencheniboti. Many thanks for joining us here on News Today. To our very first story, and the General Legal Council has suspended legal practitioner James Abayaduka from practice for impersonating Deputy Interior Minister James Agaga. The suspension took effect from April 7 and will last for 2 years. But really, who is James Abayaduka and what impact will this suspension make? My colleague Joseph Opogapo joins me now in studio with a lot more. So, Joseph, many thanks for joining us. No, really, who is this gentleman, James Abayaduka?
He's one of the very popular lawyers, at least within the legal circles. He has many years standing in the legal profession. He actually works with the IBA Law Consult, one of the law firms here in Accra, and he's been involved in a number of very high-profile cases. You would recall the cocaine investigation, the missing cocaine investigation by the Judge Wood Committee. There was a star witness during the particular hearing, one Grace Asibi, who was alleged to be the girlfriend of one of the Venezuelans who was mentioned. He was actually the lawyer who represented the said lady, Grace Asibi, in that particular case. That's when he became such a popular lawyer in the country, and he's also been involved in a number of other high-profile cases. So he's the one we're talking about.
Okay, so let's speak of this issue of impersonation. Really,
yes.
For which very issue is that?
Well, you know that he being a legal practitioner, his name is Abayaduka, James Abayaduka. It's to a certain extent rhymes like James Agaga to a certain extent. Now, according to a notice that the General Legal Council has issued, he impersonated himself to some of his clients and claimed that he's James Agaga. The suspicion being that he did this just to actually gain more clients. You would know that lawyer James Agaga, who is currently the Deputy Interior Minister, before he became Deputy Interior Minister, he used to work with Law Temple, which is also another very popular law firm here in Accra, and he was the managing partner there. The claim is that when lawyer Abayaduka is seeking for persons to actually work with, and he's looking out for clients, he tells some of them that he's actually lawyer James Agaga. And so this got to the notice of the General Legal Council. They sat, an investigation was conducted. He was actually charged in court with some of these allegations of impersonation, and in the end the conclusion was that he was actually guilty, and based on that the decision was taken to suspend him for 2 years. Now the suspension takes effect from earlier this month, that's 7th of April. That's when the General Legal Council issued this particular notice, and what this means is that he won't be able to practice as a lawyer anymore. The Legal Council has directed that his license for practicing this particular year be withdrawn, and so he won't be able to practice in any courts in Ghana and even beyond. He would also not be able to attend chambers and provide any consultancy relating to the legal profession.
Is this a temporal measure or is for the long haul?
Well, it's actually for the 2-year period within which he would be serving the suspension, and it's after that he would be able to go back to legal practice and provide services for the public and thereby earn money for himself.
Right. Many thanks for that update, Joseph Opogapo, and Joseph Opogapo with details of that very story there. Let's now head to the courts, where we are told that the lawyer for former PNT youth organizer Abu Ramadan, who sued the Electoral Commission over the voters register, says the Commission's planned validation exercise will not address the issues before the courts. According to Nana Santibediye, what the EC intends to do is a mere exhibition exercise which will not clean the voters register. The former youth organizer of the People's National Convention, Abu Ramadan, and one Evans Nimako, sued the Electoral Commission on grounds that the current electoral roll is bloated and not fit for purpose. They are asking the Supreme Court to annul the register or direct the EC to do a validation of the register. My colleague Raymond Dakwa was in court and is now joining me over the phone lines with a lot more. So, Raymond, tell us a lot more about what really transpired in court today. Well, we do not have Raymond on the line now, but he's also been speaking to a lawyer for the two persons who took this very issue to court. I'm speaking of Nana Santibediye, and he's had some warning for the EC with regards to jeopardizing the ongoing case.
Well, I mean, first of all, from what I have seen, what the steps the EC wants to take is not consistent with validation, as I understand it, or as the CRAB report, the CRAB committee puts it in their 77-page report. In this case, it appears what the EC wants to do is to, during the exhibition period, to have potential voters, registered voters, come and check to see if their names are in the register. And when they do come to check, they also verify that they are in the register by going through the BVD machine process. They're also indicated that they're going to reach out to various institutions in order to identify those who are deceased, to take them out of the register. Now, we have to remember that this whole case and this whole uproar over the register is because everybody agrees that the register is bloated. It contains the names of people who should not be there. So we have to keep our eye on the ball and recognize and appreciate that whatever steps the EC takes, it must address that issue, getting those people who ought not to be on the register off, so that we can have as reasonably accurate and credible a register as possible. So the question we have to ask ourselves is whether those processes outlined by the EC, which is sent to all the political parties, will address that problem. And sadly, it won't, because there's a very basic question we'll ask. If I do not show up during the exhibition period to check my name and verify my registration, do I still remain on the register? And the answer is yes. So if somebody who is ineligible to be registered, such as a person who used the NHIS card to register, does not show up at all, his name still remains.
Let's still stay with issues of election and the Electoral Commission. We'll be returning to that very story in a bit. But should a redesign of a logo be the priority of the Electoral Commission 7 months to a general election? Well, that seems to be what the EC is busily concentrating on. The Commission has revealed a new logo. But that is not the major worry for many. This new logo for the country's electoral body is, however, generating heated discussions on several platforms because the design is very similar to one found on a Turkish website. Now, an IT and brands expert, Divine Populampo, believes if more research had gone into the designing, that replica would have been averted. Speaking to me earlier on News Desk, Mr. Populampo also questioned why the Electoral Commission should be focusing on a redesign when there are other pertinent issues for the Commission to be dealing with.
Logo doesn't really reflect the Electoral Commission, or doesn't say this logo belongs to the EC. I was surprised when I saw it the first time and they were like, it's a new logo for the EC. And as you said, there are some other companies out there who have similar things. It just looks similar to a Yeti system. One of the, I understand, it's a cancelling placement center in Turkey. It looks similar to that. But as you said, when you're coming out with a logo for a brand and an institution like Electoral Commission, at the first look of the logo, it should tell you what the institution is about without you needing any explanation. I can see clearly what they want to do here. You just want to let it be like red, yellow, green, reflecting it. And it's trying to portray a symbol of community or people trying to come together. So probably the idea behind a logo would be to say, we come together to vote for our elected leaders. But if you don't look deep into branding, you wouldn't understand what is really trying to come out over here. And the colors too, the blue background, I don't really know what he's trying to say. I think EC could have done better by, portraying something that would be familiar with everybody out there. This logo, it doesn't really catch it for me. And I'm not surprised most branding experts are making a lot of noise about it on social media all over. So the first thing I'll consider mostly, I wouldn't want to do away with the symbol that shows the ballot box and they're voting. That is one key visual clue people identify that this is really for Electoral Commission. Because if you notice, most of the government institutions we have around the government, they have the coat of arms and just change what is inside there. But for EC, you look at it and look at the ballot box. You don't even need to read Electoral Commission below it and to tell you what the commission is about. That particular element that is missing, if that element had been existing in this current logo, it would have sort of reduced the criticism against the commission in a way. That is one of the main visual clues I want to maintain and do other changes to the logo. I think there are so many other issues that is need to prioritize at this moment aside this logo issue. We need money for us to be talking about cleaning up register. And you remember their budget that was brought up this year had to be cut short. This, I don't think, is the right time for us to be putting so much emphasis on just doing a rebranding. They are doing their work in a way. The main focus is for us to get the elections process going and going.
Well, let's stay a little longer on this subject. And the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, says it has been following the discussions on the subject of obtaining a credible voters register for Ghana ahead of the 2016 general elections. And they've been doing that keenly. According to the National Coordinator, Albert Ahin, the coalition is concerned with what appears to be the lack of clarity on the concrete steps the Electoral Commission intends to take to address the existing problems of unqualified persons and ghost names, several months after the panel submitted its report to the Commission. So joining us over the phone lines now is Albert Ahin. He's with the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers. Mr. Ahin, good afternoon. Many thanks for joining us. Now, you think that the EC's lack of transparency is likely to cause some discomfort ahead of the elections? Why so?
Yeah, it could cause discomfort in the sense that we are not having a clear roadmap, telling the whole country what the cleaning or the auditing is going to be. And we in Kodeo are saying that there's the need for the Commission to come out to have clear guidelines as to what it intends to do. This Justice Crab Commission came out with a report very long ago. And one would have expected the Commission to have actually taken time to brief the nation on the steps they are going to take, because they came out with some recommendations. So, you've been listening that, on the way with airwaves, people talking about validation. Sometimes, even this morning, we heard that a Commission member was talking about validation. On the other hand, at some quarters, they're also saying that, no, the Commissioner didn't talk about validation. You see, so there's some kind of confusion going on. And what we are saying is that it's better for the Commission to get a roadmap indicating clearly what the Commission intends to do by way of the auditing or the cleaning of the register. Even before the limited registration starts, if they want to use the exhibition to clean the register, Ghanaians should be clear in their minds. The parties should be clear in their minds. What is the roadmap? So that everybody, all these things will be resolved even before we get there. It is better to set the parties down, better to tell the nation what it intends doing, so that we all be clear in our minds what it is that we want to do. If it is a question of getting some consultants internationally or engaging some locally to do the auditing, then we will be able to know. So it is better in the interest of peace, in the interest of credibility of the voters' rights and the election itself, to be able to get this across.
Mr. Ahin, now many say that for the major parties or stakeholders involved in this election, they are not so particular about some of these concerns that are being raised outside, and some of these discourses we've been having on radio and on the various social media platforms, because usually at IPAC meetings, the Interparty Advisory Committee meetings, most of these issues come up and they are dealt with. And all the parties, we are told, come out satisfied. It's just that the commentary on radio and on TV and on the various media platforms are what
My brother,
seems
let me tell you something. The meetings that are, the decisions that are taken at IPAC, even at the regional IPAC level, these things are not carried down. Much more to the district. Decisions taken at IPAC are not conveyed, or they are not sent to the various people in the various places. So maybe what they can do is that if they have taken a decision at the IPAC, they should simmer down. People down there should also know that this is what the Commission intends doing, so that these rumors and other things that people are not clear about will all be settled.
Mr. Ahin, one other thing, you speak of the fact that the EC needs to come out with a clear roadmap or a guideline. So I'm reading extracts of the statement you put out, and I'm seeing, in view of the widespread public concern and mistrust of the voter register, Kodeo implores the EC to clearly communicate to the general public a roadmap outlining the measures it intends to take to ensure a credible voter register. Kodeo urges the EC to treat the matter with the maximum urgency and attention it deserves, as this is crucial to the electoral process. To the very best of my knowledge, the Electoral Commission has been quite clear on a number of things. In fact, they did publish to the media and to the entire Ghanaian citizenry that a clear roadmap.
I'm not getting that one.
They have actually published to us a roadmap, as in what they are doing, and there are dates attached to all the things they want to, the processes they want to carry out before the election. So really, what more do you want the EC to do?
What I'm saying is that to a section of the Ghanaian public, some of these things are not known to them, to a section of them. If decisions have been taken to setting out, trying to set out certain modalities for the cleanup, it should be in a press conference to be relayed to everybody in Ghana.
Okay, so your issue has to do with communication at the EC.
I think there's a communication gap here. Is that not true? Is there no communication gap?
Right. Ms. Nain, we'll leave you here for now, and we'll be coming back to you a little later on for a lot more on this. And Albert Ain is with the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, and they have been raising concerns about the exact steps being taken by the EC to address the many challenges that have been that are fraught with the existing voters register. But let's still stay on issues of elections, because we are told that the ruling National Democratic Congress says it has uncovered a ploy by the opposition New Patriotic Party to disenfranchise some of its supporters in the Ashanti region by labeling them as dead in the voters register. At a media briefing, Deputy General Secretary of the party, Koko Anyido, told journalists the party has arrested and handed over to police 2 supporters of the NPP with voters register in their possession, labeling some NDC supporters as dead. Let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to correspondent Ohimi Interior, who was at this press briefing and is now joining us with a lot more. So, Ohimi, tell us really what the Deputy General Secretary said. And, I mean, did he even show proof of this claim?
Yes, I think indeed the party considered 2 people, a male and a female, indicating that these were people that are NPP supporters, 2 people who have been arrested in the Swami constituency, tried on the 11th April 2016 to label them as dead. And indeed, they also show us a copy of the voter register in which the 2 people names are registered and then claimed to have been labeled as dead. So Mr. Koko Anyido, who indicated that indeed MPP is bent on doing everything possible to disenfranchise some of the NDC supporters, purportedly known to have northern and voter regional background. But he says the NDC as a party will resist any attempt to disenfranchise their members. And let me say, I have the opportunity to speak to the people whose names were mentioned, and they indicate that indeed, yes, this happened in Swami. But the matter as we speak now has been reported to the Swami police station, but the case has been transferred to the Central Police Station for further investigation. But I ask whether NDC as a political party will lodge official complaint with the Electoral Commission. Mr. Koko Anyido, who said no, they will not, but they will follow the legal aspects of the case and ensure that the matter, they pursue the case to its logical conclusion.
Ohimi, many thanks for that update, and that was Ashanti Regional Correspondent Ohimi Interior bringing us a lot more on that story as well. Time now to move on to some other issues, and the Defense Ministry is undertaking a comprehensive review of a contract signed in 2007 for the construction of some houses for the Ghana Armed Forces. Now, the project, estimated at the time at 16.6 million Ghana cedis, was valued to 25 million without much justification, according to the Auditor General's report covering the period 2011. Now, the variation, according to officers of the Armed Forces, resulted from structural changes to the plan. Responding to questions before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, Head of Engineering at the Ghana Armed Forces, Colonel Isaac Nyako, said delays in the execution of the project affected the pricing, but admits the variation was not reported. Parliamentary correspondent Elton Brobe is joining me live now on phone with a lot more. So, Elton, give us some background to these houses we speak of in this issue.
Okay, Sanjay, what we have been told by the Minister for Defense, Dr. Benjamin Kombo, is that this contract was signed in 2007, and then you are talking about the MPP administration, for the construction of 18 houses to serve as residential accommodation for members of the Ghana Armed Forces in separate locations across the country. Now, as we speak, out of the 18, only 1 has been completed and handed over to the Ghana Armed Forces. The rest are in various stages of completion. The reason is simple. Funds are not forthcoming for the contractors to execute this particular project. Now, in the words of the Auditor General, which is a subject of scrutiny before the Public Accounts Committee, between January 2009 and December 2010, the ministry awarded the contract amounting to 16.6 million Ghana cedis, but initial costs were revised to 25 million Ghana cedis, resulting in a variation of 8.4 million Ghana cedis, or 50.6%, with a proper assessment of the work to be carried out. And they are saying that under the Public Procurement Authority, they are gives room for variation of contract, but it shouldn't go beyond 10%. But in this case, we are talking about 50.6%. And the Auditor General is also saying that no structural changes were made on those projects to merit the variation. Now, the Ghana Armed Forces officers, including the Minister of Defense, they've been responding to this particular audit query raised by the Auditor General. For them, the main reason why the contract was varied from the initial 16.6 to 25 million Ghana cedis has to do with structural changes and, upward review of prices of some of the items that the contractors bought in carrying out the contract. Secondly, they submitted several certifications to the Ministry of Finance for payment for what's done, but they were not honored, attracting interest on those projects. So this has been the explanation offered by the Ministry of Defense, the Minister himself, and the officers of the Ghana Armed Forces before the Public Accounts Committee. They are not accepting responsibility for the fact that they erred in varying a contract beyond 10%, which is the threshold, admitted by the Public Procurement Authority. They are saying that until the finances of projects undertaken by the Ministry of Defense is, considered critically, these issues will continue to arise.
Many thanks for that update, Elton Brobe. But we can now take you live to Parliament and bring you a bit of a feed as to what is currently going on there.
Solve that problem now, and we insist on purchases from VAT entities, to the extent that the other day we had the function at 3 p.m. and we were to purchase some items for refreshment, including grass cutter. I insisted that, irrespective of how palatable the meal is, my receipt for grass cutter, and to my surprise, I was given receipt for grass cutter. So, Mr. Chairman, we have been complying with them now.
Mr. Chairman, company so that. Kwesi, if you want to comply, you can always get receipts. Even mere handwriting, acknowledgement, and somebody signing is adequate to satisfy the curiosity of the auditor. So it's not amazing to have a receipt for purchasing grass cutter. Everything you can always have receipts for it. You continue. On the grass cutter.
You have a follow-up.
On the grass cutter thing.
Not on the grass cutter, but on the stores one. The fumigation issue.
I think we've gone beyond that. Don't bring it.
Just a brief thing. Chairman, please. Chairman, you realize it was the auditors who noticed that the stores was unhealthy. That is it. And I shudder to think of if the stores were visited by the Food and Drugs Authority, what they would see. Minister, I think it's about time you recommended that the Food and Drugs Authority, they go around and look at your food ration stores.
You're still watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Still to come, the Ridge Hospital has announced it will not be accepting general emergency cases from Friday to Monday. We'll be telling you why in a bit. Many thanks for staying here on News Today. Some more stories now. And the Ridge Hospital has announced it will not be accepting general emergency cases from Friday to Monday morning. Now, this, the hospital says, has become necessary to enable management carry out its quarterly fumigation exercise. Matilda Pamega of our health desk has been speaking to a lot more people on this issue and has brought us this.
Oh, it's a routine exercise that we normally carry out as part of our infection prevention and control processes. As a hospital or as a facility, from time to time, you need to disinfect to take care of any insects, rodents, or sometimes even bed bugs that somebody might have carried from the house to the facility. And we do it so that people don't come here for cross-infesting, so people don't come here and take infections to their place. So it's a routine exercise that we are doing.
How long is this exercise taken?
We are doing it for the whole hospital, but in order that services may not be unduly interrupted, we are doing it in phases. So we may do it about 3 phases. This is the first phase. The first phase will last 2 days, so Saturday and Sunday. But to prepare for the exercise, we are closing services from Friday 4 o'clock, so that we will not take new cases in for the outpatient and the emergency areas, so that by Saturday morning, everybody will have been gone, so that we can fumigate. So it's just a 2 days exercise.
Okay. So what does this mean to people who will be coming here? Does it mean we cannot come here to get services here?
It doesn't mean we are restricting services. What it means is that theater services, our main theater and outpatient services, will not be available for the period Saturday and Sunday. However, obstetrics cases, that's the maternal cases, services will be running. Inpatient services too will be running. That's why we have decided to do it in phases. So if you are referred for a general surgery, for example, on Saturday and Sunday, it will not be possible to admit such a person. But if somebody was referred for a CS, that will be possible, because our house theater will be available to take care of those cases. However, what we are saying is that normally when the main theater is running, it supports the house theater. So house theater alone may not be able to take the volumes or the numbers of people coming. So that's why we are appealing to the other health facilities in the region.
But is there a plan already with other health facilities?
Yeah, we have communicated to them. We have communicated to them to make alternative referral arrangements, maybe to Kwalebu, to 37, and other secondary facilities within the region.
So when should we see everything being restored to normalcy?
Yeah, Monday, 8 a.m., we are restoring everything back to normal, and we'll be running services as normal. As and when we are doing the other phase, we'll announce it appropriately.
Now, over the past few weeks, the narrative has been about how the chiefs and people of our Goinia Shanti region want nomadic herdsmen flushed out of the district. The accusations have been how the herders have destroyed crops and reportedly killed and raped indigents. That may not be the full picture, as we are learning of undue victimization of nomadic herdsmen in some parts of the country. John Isis Kwetinate tells the story of a 23-year-old Fulani native who was wrongfully arrested for being a part of the cattle invasion in the Ashanti region. This is contained in his hotline documentary, Deadly Hoof.
All because of the cows issues. And they even look that I'm a Fulani man. That's why they try to even remind me that kind of remind. Because the law did not, even though we the Fulani we are not educated, the law did not prove that you should remind someone in cell, in custody, in 3 months without sending him in prison yard. The law did not give that. But they look me that I'm a Fulani, so they can treat me bad anyhow they like.
So what happened before you were taken up by the police? What happened?
Okay, I will be coming in the court sometimes. I was meeting this young man, and he see me there, and he helped me, let me out, and discharged me in the case.
What was your crime?
My crime is criminal crime, because they give me criminal charge, but that is not true.
What did they say you have done?
They say I stole a cattle, and I also know I'm not the one who stole the cattle, but I know the one who stole the cattle. So after they bail me, I let them arrest the one who stole the cattle, and they watch out the case and they discharge me.
Meanwhile, demands by residents of Agu to see all cattle removed from the area may not happen anytime soon. Ashanti Regional Minister John Alexander Akon says it will be difficult for this to be done due to the complex nature of the issue. Mr. Akon was reacting to demands of residents for all cattle to be removed from the area. Will not give timelines, but says he wants communities who have over the years lived with the herdsmen to understand the complexity of the issue.
When you have cattle who are in the bushes, you chase, you go, you push them, you rest for 1 hour, they can return. So the dealing is not like normal everyday bread and butter, you finish and then you go away. No. At times you go and patrol the whole area, you didn't meet anybody. In the night, you come and see destruction. So the handling is a bit different from what we normally think it should be. And that's the complexities. And that's why we think that communities should understand, because they've been with them for so long. We need to understand ourselves and get the issues that are confronting us so that we'll be seen to be working as one unit. They cannot give a timeline for pushing cattle, because there are Ghanaians who have cattle. We don't behave as if Ghanaians don't need the cattle. And if you give timeline and say you are pushing, and a Ghanaian goes to buy 2 cattle, and what are you going to do with them? So it's difficult to really get to that point and say you are going to push every cattle out of the state. There are things of law, but because of the destruction, we have to act in a manner that will give peace to the community.
We're taking a break here on News Today. When we return, we'll bring you business, sports, as well as some international updates. Stay with us.
Now time for some business. And mining companies are demanding government urgently takes practical steps to curb the alarming rate of illegal mining in the country. This follows the invasion of the Oware mine concession in Konongo in the Ashanti region by over 200 illegal miners. A similar incident also occurred at the Obuasi mine in February, leading to the death of Corporate Affairs Director of Anglo Gold Ashanti, John Owusu. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Mines, Suleimanu Kone, says the government only needs to enforce the laws to curb the menace.
Recently, the Minerals and Mining Act 703 was amended. It made it more punitive for illegal miners, who are actually apprehended. And for example, it talks about the need or the right of the court to confiscate the equipment which is used in illegal mining, and it even upped the sanctions, sanctions against illegal mining as well. So the laws are there, the laws are tough, but it's the enforcement making sure that, look, when these guys are, because of course you have to apprehend them first, but if you see them in the field conducting illegal mining activity and yet you don't apprehend them, what has the law got to do with this? I think essentially we want sanity. We want sanity. We want mining companies to have the peace of mind to do their work. They don't want to cohabit with illegal miners. They want the illegal miners removed from the concession.
How do you expect government to do that?
I think it's a simple matter. The national security of this country, we know that when it comes to these issues, they have a track record of engaging the illegal miners and getting them off the concession. I know in the recent past that's happened, and I believe that governments should be able to get, the law enforcement agents, particularly national security, to get the illegal miners of the concession.
Any timelines you're looking at?
We want it like yesterday. It should be as soon as possible. It's a major concern for us. Like I said, we are in a downturn, and what you expect is to encourage investment. What we are doing is discouraging investment. We want to encourage investment so that by the time you have an upturn, we should be ready.
Beyond the environmental impact, which we all do acknowledge, what impact as far as economic?
I think for me, essentially, is the reputation of our country.
Meanwhile, Anglo Gold Ashanti has debunked assertions that Randgold aborted its plans to invest in the Obuasi mine because of concerns with viability of the mine. Addressing the media, the managing director of the Obuasi mine of Anglo Gold Ashanti, Erica Subontin, said the Obuasi mine just did not meet the Randgold's investment requirement.
Having said that, what is happening in Obuasi at the moment would be a worry for any potential investor. And Anglo Gold Ashanti is a current investor. It's not a potential investor. We are here now, and we see the investment we've made into Obuasi already as being undermined. It's also undermining the potential for future investment. It boils down to the fact that Randgold made it clear, Anglo Gold Ashanti confirmed it, that Randgold pulled out because the Obuasi mine didn't meet its investment criteria. That is what they said, and I think we should stick to that.
Anglo Gold Ashanti is also calling on government to restore law and order at the Obuasi mine, citing the effect of illegal mining activities on the company's operations. Okay, then business owners are being urged to take advantage of initiatives aimed at strengthening corporate governance. The University of Ghana Business School, UGBS, has signed an agreement with the International Finance Corporation, IFC, to develop educational models on corporate governance. The project, expected to end in June 2018, will see IFC revise and strengthen the university's corporate governance syllabus, which UGBS engages stakeholders towards the smooth running of the program. The Dean of UGBS, Joshua Abo, spoke to Joy Business, and that will be it for business here. Stay tuned with more. For more, you can actually join me on the marketplace between now 1 and 1:30 on business. Actually, we have give you more on that. You can also log on to myjohnonline.com/business. My name is John Kojo Amwako.
And that's a wrap up on news today this afternoon on your Joy News channel here on Multi TV. My name is Kwabna Chenchen. Remember to log on to myjoyonline.com for a lot more stories. The marketplace comes up next. Many thanks for your company.